Scope 1.1 General Application. 1.1 Coverage. API 570 covers inspection, rating, repair, and alteration procedures for metallic and fiberglass reinforced plastic piping systems and their associated pressure relieving devices that have been placed in service. The inspection code applies to all hydrocarbon and chemical process pipings covered in 121 that have been placed in service unless specifically designated as option per 122. The publication does not cover inspection of specialty equipment, including instrumentation, exchanger tubes, and control valves. However, this piping code could be used by owner users in any other industries and other services at their discretion. Process piping systems that have been retired from service and abandoned in place are no longer covered by this in-service inspection code. However, abandoned in place piping may still have some amount of inspection or risk mitigation to ensure that it does not become a process safety hazard because of continuing deterioration. Process piping systems that are temporarily out of service but have been mothballed, preserved for future uses, are still covered in this code. Intent. The intent of this code is to specify the in-service inspection and condition monitoring program, as well as repair guidance that is needed to determine and maintain the ongoing integrity of piping systems. The program shall provide reasonable, accurate, and timely assessments, determine if any change of the conditions of piping could possibly compromise continued safe operation. It is also the intent of the code that the owner users shall respond to any inspection results that require corrective action to ensure the continued integrity of piping consistent with appropriate risk analysis. API 570 is intended for use by organizations that maintain or have access to an authorized inspection agency, a repair organization, and technically qualified piping engineers, inspectors, and examiners, as well as defined in Section 3. Limitations. API 570 should not be used as a substitute for the original construction requirements governing a piping system before it is placed in service, nor shall it be used in conflict with any prevailing regulatory requirements. If the requirements of this code are more stringent than the regulatory requirements, then the requirements of this code shall govern. 1.2 Specific applications. The term non-metallic has a broad definition, but in this code refers to the fiber reinforced plastics group encompassed by the generic acronym FRP, fiberglass reinforced plastics, and GRP, glass reinforced plastic. The extruded, generally homogeneous non-metallic, such as high and low density polyethylene, are not specifically covered by this code. Refer to API 574 and MTI 129 for guidance on degradation and inspection issues associated with FRP piping. 121 Included fluid service. Except as provided in 122, API 570 applies the piping system for fluid processes, hydrocarbons, and similar flammable or toxic fluid services such as the following: raw, intermediate, and finished petroleum and chemical products, catalyst lines, hydrogen, natural gas, fuel gas, and flare systems, sour water and hazardous waste streams, hazardous fluid service, cryogenic fluids such as liquids N2, H2, O2, and air, high pressure gases greater than 150 psig such as gases HE, H2, O2, and N2, optional piping systems and fluid services. The fluid services and classes of piping system included below are optional with regard to the requirements of API 570. A hazardous fluid service below designated threshold limits as defined by jurisdictional regulations. Water, including the fire protection system, steam condensate, boiler feed water, and Category D fluid service as defined in ASME B131.3. For other classes of piping that are exempt from the application, process piping code. 1.3 Fitness for service and risk-based inspection. The inspection code recognizes fitness for service concepts for evaluating in-service damage of pressure-containing piping components. API 579.1 ASME FS1 Fitness for Service provides detailed fitness for service assessment procedures for specific types of damage that are referenced in this code. The inspection code also recognizes RBI concepts for determining inspection intervals or due dates and strategy. API 580 provides the basic minimum and recommended elements for developing, implementing, and maintaining a risk-based inspection program for fixed equipment, including piping. API 581 provides a set of methodologies for assessing risk, both POF and COF, and for developing inspection plans. Normative references. The following documents are indispensable for the application of this document. For dated references, only the edition cited applies. For undated references, latest editions of reference documented. Include any amendments apply. You got your API 510 pressure vessel inspection code, API 530 calculation of heater tube thickness, API 571 practices, damage mechanisms affecting fixed equipment, 572 inspection practices for pressure vessels, 574 inspection practice for piping system components, 576 inspection of pressure relieving devices, 577 welding inspection and metallurgy, 578 material verification program for new and existing piping systems, 579-1 and fitness for service 1, fitness for service, 580 risk-based inspection, 583 corrosion under insulation, 584 integrity operating windows, 598 valve inspection and testing, 939C guidelines for avoiding sulfidation corrosion failures in oil refineries, 941 steels for hydrogen service at elevated temperatures and pressures in petroleum refineries and petroleum plants, 2201 safe hot tapping practices in petroleum and petrochemical industries, 1634 valves flanged threaded and welded ends, 313 process piping, section 5 non-destructive examination, section 9 welding and brazing qualification, PCC 1 guidelines for pressure boundary bolted flange joint assembly, PCC 2 repair of pressure equipment and piping, G57 method for field measurement of soil resistivity using the Wenner 4 electrode method. And then you got your NACE 0472 methods and controls prevent in-service environmental cracking of carbon steel weldments in corrosive petroleum refining environments. MR 0103 materials resistance to sulfide stress cracking. 0102 line inspection of pipelines. 0502 pipeline external corrosion direct assessment. 704 standard system for identification of hazardous materials. Okay, and then section 3 is your definitions, acronyms and abbreviations. You got 311 abandoned in place. Piping system, circuit, or contiguous section therefore mean all the following has been decommissioned with no intention for further use, has been completely de-inventoried, purged of hydrocarbon chemicals, and is physically disconnected, air gapped from all energy sources of other piping equipment. Alloy material. Any alloy material including welding filler materials that contain alloying elements such as chromium, nickel, or molybdenum, which are intentionally added to enhance mechanical or physical properties or corrosion resistance. Alloys may be ferrous or non-ferrous based. Carbon steels are not considered alloys for purpose of this code. Alteration. A physical change in any component that has design implications affecting the pressure containing capability or flexibility of a piping system beyond the scope of its original design. The following are not considered alterations, comparable or duplicate replacements, and replacements of any kind. That's an important definition, alteration. Applicable code. The code section, or other recognized and generally accepted engineering standards to practice which the piping system was built and which is deemed by the owner user of the piping engineer to be appropriate for the situation, including but not limited to the latest edition of ASME B1313. Authorization. Approval agreement to perform a specific activity, piping repair prior to any activity being performed. 31.6. Authorized inspection agency. Defined as the following: the inspection organization or the jurisdiction in which the piping system is used. The inspection organization or insurance company that is licensed or registered to write insurance for piping systems. An owner or user of piping systems who maintains an inspection organization for activities relating to his own equipment and not for piping systems intended for sale or resale. An independent inspection organization employed by or under contract to the owner user of piping systems that are used only by the owner user and not for sale or resale. An independent inspection organized, licensed, or recognized by the jurisdiction in which piping systems is used and employed or under contract to the user owner.